The silence of my phone was a deafening roar. It had been 3 hours since I'd last seen a message from Ben.
Hey, what are you up to?
The 3 hours of unanswered texts, unanswered calls, and an ever-growing pit of anxiety in my stomach. I knew I shouldn't let it get to me. Ben was at a friend's birthday party, something he'd mentioned earlier in the day. We'd planned to talk later, maybe even via video call. It was all perfectly logical, yet the absence of even a simple notification was driving me crazy. My phone became an extension of my hand, a constant source of anxious checking. Every time it buzzed, my heart leaped into my throat, only to plummet with a thud when it was just a notification for a new email or a friend's Instagram story. Each minute that passed without a reply from Ben felt like an eternity. In the first hour, I was filled with irrational anger. He's probably just ignoring me. He wouldn't even bother to reply. My anger was laced with a desperate hope that he would see my messages, feel the sting of my disapproval, and rush to apologize. The second hour brought a wave of self-doubt. Maybe I was being too clingy, too needy. Maybe my texts were too incessant and demanding of his attention. My imagination ran wild, completely oblivious to my silent pleas for his attention. By the third hour, the anger had dissipated, leaving behind a hollow ache. My stomach churned with a sense of dread. The feeling of being unwanted, of being invisible, was overwhelming. Each blink of the cursor on my screen, waiting for a response that never came, felt like a cruel reminder of my insignificance. I tried to distract myself, to bury myself in work, and to catch up on my favorite TV show. But the silence of Ben's absence was a constant intrusion, a nagging voice whispering doubts and fears into my mind. Finally, as the clock ticked past midnight, it was a text from Ben.
Sorry, fell asleep. What's up?
Relief washed over me like a tidal wave. My anger, my self-doubt, and my anxieties all melted away in an instant. But even as the relief settled in, a wave of shame followed close behind. I was ashamed of my overreaction and of my irrational behavior. How could I let a few hours of silence turn my world upside down? It's just a text. It's not a matter of life or death. Yet, the seed of doubt had been planted. How could I be so dependent on his text messages for my happiness? How could I let his silence dictate my emotions? The next day, I made a conscious effort to control my anxiety. When Ben didn't respond immediately to my message, I reminded myself that he was busy and that he had a life outside of me. I tried to focus on my own life, on my happiness. It wasn't easy. The old patterns were hard to break. But with each passing day, I found myself becoming a little less dependent on his text messages, a little less consumed by the fear of his silence. The experience had shown me the power of communication, but it had also shown me the importance of self-reliance. A healthy relationship, I realized, wasn't about constant dependence but about mutual respect and understanding, even in the face of silence.